Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another race season of the Sony Cup Series. Getting set and ready to go underway. Bobby Jones qualified on pole for the 28th annual Daytona 500 alongside his Lane Sanders as the field of 42 will get set and ready to roll off and make 200 laps for 500 miles in the final Sony Cup Series season. Bobby Jones, his teammate, found success last season with the championship and the Daytona 500 win to boot. The last two seasons of the Sony Cup Series have resulted in the Daytona 500 champion going on to win the championship with it. So winning this race has been a good omen in terms of winning the overall season championship. Look at that banking off of the side of the Sunoco sign. High banks of Daytona. The Daytona 500, folks. Field of 42, set and ready to roll off. Let's take you through the field. Will Goss, who was also really good here last season, won his qualifying race and is lined up in row 2 alongside Dylan Schwellenberg, who has proved to be a mighty contender here in the Sony Cup Series. Back in row 3, Shade Eves alongside Dom Caps. Caps knows how to win these big races. Blake Warren alongside Joseph Shrigley, and rounding out the top 10, Vince Freeze and also Sean Perkins. Perkins, like Dom Caps, pretty clutch when it comes to the Daytona 500s. They've won multiple of these races. Well, 32 more cars will be starting further back. We'll be covering the race for you all the way to the checkered flag. Bobby Jones, Lane Sanders on the front row. 200 laps today. Gonna get set and ready to go racing. For the final time, the Daytona 500 is green. Onto the back straightaway for the first time today. Bobby Jones leads Will Goss. Will Goss had a very fast car in his dual qualifier. It was a very chaotic one in the race he was in. So he looks to try and push Bobby Jones to lead lap 1 of the race. And it looks like he will. Bobby Jones is the lap leader of the Daytona 500. Field is kind of spreading out just a little bit. They're 3 wide, about 5th place. But a pass for the race lead. Will Goss in his Flipside Motorsports car, driving it to the inside of Bobby Jones. Looks like he's going to take the position away. Blake Warren, affiliate teammate in the 99, looking to get up there and race with these guys. Could be anyone's chance to win the Daytona 500. We're already seeing it. Shade Eves, Blake Warren, Vince Freeze, and Will Goss. Not entirely names you would really expect. You even go a little further back, like James Ellison. Ellison, it's his first Daytona 500, I'm pretty sure, and he's inside the top 10 with his own race team. Goss in the 51 taking the race lead. Freeze also wants to take his hand at the point, driving to the inside of the 51. Ellison continuing to pick his way through race cars. He has drove his way up to 3rd position. Jesse Turner, who has come close to winning the Daytona 500 multiple times, has moved his way into the top 10 and is closing in on the leaders. Ellison to the inside is going to follow Vince Freeze, and Freeze drives to the outside. That 51's been fast all race weekend, and you want to keep an eye on that 51. Normally, Flipside Motorsports is not the team you would really expect to be a race-winning car, but they were quick here in the Daytona 500 last. Whoa! Contact between Ellison and Eves. Nearly a spin off of turn 2, and that could have been very bad. But like I was mentioning, though, you want to keep an eye on that 51, and it really just matters if you got to get to the end. We've been seeing in these 500-mile races here at Daytona, you've got to be there at the end, and no matter what tends to happen here, normally we have 10 or less cars on the lead lap or in the main pack when it comes to the end of the race, and you have to be there when it matters. We have, oh, further back, Cody Lamas has hit the wall. Looks like he pushed up tight. That's not Cody Lamas. That's the 93 of Ryan Butcher. Oh, it's contact between him and Jordan Davis. But everyone's really just on edge, it seems like. Everybody's really tight. There's Cody Lamas in the 48 car. Previous winner of this Daytona 500. But Vince Freeze is in the lead, but Will Goss is right behind him yet again. Didn't take long, did it? Here comes Will Goss looking to take the race lead again. He's going to try and throw a similar block that Freeze did to him, and he's got help from James Ellison. Ellison really impressing me. Here he comes to the inside, and James Ellison, in his first Daytona 500, he drives to the inside, and his own race team for Crossroads is going to take the race lead in the Daytona 500. Didn't really take long, though, but here comes Will Goss, fighting back, driving it back to the inside, and Goss is going to take the point yet again. Nearly had a crash here in the front trioval. Ryan Acosta hit the wall, and everybody had to check up for him. Lost a lot of time. Jesse Turner has moved his way to the front of the field. Like many drivers in this Daytona 500, they've come close many a times. Jesse Turner's one of them that has never won the Daytona 500. And he's looking to do so today. It's the last Daytona 500, and all these drivers wanting to put their name on the Daytona 500 trophy and to etch their name into history books. But Will Goss continues to be a name to follow this entire Daytona 500. He drives it back to the inside. We were just looking at Cody Lamas a few laps ago, middle of the pack, and here he is inside the top 5. His teammate Dylan Schwellenberg not that far behind. One car has lost the draft, and that is Joshua Michaels, and honestly, that might be a pretty safe place to be in. Mr. Collins holding the caboose of the pack as we'll take you through the field from the back of the field all the way forward. Only 18 laps in. Everyone's still trying to mind their own. There's DJ Curtis in the 19, Bobby Jones pole sitter, James Shelley, Zayden Davidson, some regular contenders week to week, just trying to make it through the race. Comes Dylan Schwellenberg, a previous winner of this Daytona 500. He looks to the inside on Will Goss, but Will Goss will slam the door. The pack is starting to spread out just a little bit. Some good hard-nosed racing. Everybody keeping it clean. We're only an eighth of the way through this Daytona 500. Seems like we're flying by it already. Schwellenberg knows how to win in the Daytona 500, now knows how to be there. Really a strong driver on these types of racetracks. Vince Freeze has had a good car, and he's hanging up here in the top 5. We've got more spread out as the run has progressed. Dylan Schwellenberg leads his teammate Cody Lamas. Shade Eves in third. Will Goss still hanging about in the top 5, with Bobby Jones, the pole sitter, now creeping back into the picture. Sean Harple's there. Vince Freeze, Jesse Turner, Zayden Davidson, and how about Dylan Young just outside of the top 10. Then it's Nick Breeding, Charles Sanford, Samuel England, Dane Stinson, Matthew Rodriguez, Blake Horn, Stuart Grattan, Sean Perkins. Oh, wow. There's Jordan Davis to the inside. Davis has never won the Daytona 500 in the 16. There he is in the MER car, trying to fight his way forward. He started out back with his teammate Tim Foster. There they are, both trying to crack the top 20. Up front, Cody Lamas in the 48, going after his teammate for the race lead. For the outside pole sitter, Lane Sanders had to pull to the inside. Somebody scraped the outside wall. Looks like it was Joseph Shrigley. Looks like that actually might throw him out of the lead draft, and Lane's going to have to get a tow back to the pits. That's honestly a tough break for Lane. He was running, he had fell all the way back to 24th when that happened, so it was pretty obvious that his car wasn't faring all that well. We are 3 wide from third on back. Lane's really struggling with the pace there. And Lane's teammate, Nick Breeding, almost got turned sideways down on the apron. But, yeah, somebody having problems early on, and I bet you that's not going to be the only problems we have today. You look at how the cars move on the racetrack. Look at this, nearly 4 wide. I mean, these guys are having to lift a ton. They're having to lift, get out of the gas a bunch. Pit stops will be coming up shortly, and it'll be very important getting on and off pit road, staying in the lead draft, because if it does go long and green flag, I've never seen a Daytona 500 where we went all the way to the checkered flag with no issues. But it's very possible, I guess. Look at Davidson dancing about, trying to keep the cars behind him. Rebel, big wreck! Lane Sanders is up and over! Jordan Davis is in it. Samuel England's also involved. There's Ryan Butcher piling into Matthew Rodriguez. Dylan Young on the apron. Griffin Laper McDermott's in this. Bobby Jones, the pole sitter. Anthony Marchese, last year's champion. Dejon Weeks. There's Bobo Jones in this one. To get a replay, and this is probably the silliest accident you'll see, but also very lucky to not have a big catastrophic incident in this one other than a bunch of wrecked race cars. Lane Sanders gets turned by DJ Curtis, and Lane tries to get back at Curtis, it looks like. I don't know why he would stay in the gas, but holy cow, Cal Farrell in the 33. And Lane got hit a bunch. Wow, that's Jordan Davis further up that got slammed a couple of times. But Lane nearly took off the head of Cal Farrell. And to get a slow-mo view of this, Lane Sanders, no reason at all why you wouldn't lift there, took out Sean Harple, who was running really well, clipped the outside wall so aggressively that it caught the car. Harple gets up on his side, flips over. Farrell in the 33. That is near shades of Anthony Marchese from 2021's Sony Cup Series season finale, where Anthony Marchese had to recover from a very vicious accident. Further up, we saw the 34. I thought I saw the 34 must have went by him, but there's Farrell in the 33. I thought he had got through that, but he spins around. Very little damage there to him, but we're going to get more onboards. On board with Sean Harple. Out of nowhere, just gets hit by the 81 car, goes up and over, and here comes the pack of cars all trying to get by. Oh, and that's Bobby Jones that took a heck of a lick and got slammed a couple times. On Bobby Jones's view. Oh my God. See, his car did get clipped by the 81. Nowhere to go for a lot of these guys. And from one last onboard, Cal Farrell. Oh my goodness. He almost got through this, but got hit in the rear, spun up into the outside wall. Farrell very lucky to come away from this with very minor damage. Before going back, just another slow-mo view of this. Lane catches the wall. England hits Harple, but look at this. Just clips the right corner of Bobby Jones. Cal Farrell very, very lucky, like I keep mentioning. Peter Onjack on the apron, like many others. Eric DeMax down there. Charlie Smith, but we see Jordan Davis. There's Griffin Laper McDermott. Almost got by, got slight damage, knocked him up into Dylan Young. And then Ellison comes by, drills the driver's door of Bobby Jones. There's Blaze McKinney. There's the 34. Harple getting another big hit. And then the 47 slamming into the rear of Laper McDermott. Well, that accident took out a ton of cars. We're on lap 60 out of 200, basically 61. But here's the cars all out of the race. Lane Sanders, Blaze McKinney, Griffin Laper McDermott, Gatlin Downey, Jordan Davis, Shade Eves, Dylan Young, Bobby Jones, Bobo Jones, Sean Harple, Ryan Butcher, Matthew Rodriguez, James Ellison, Dejon Weeks, Samuel England, and I think the 03, is he still out there? No, I think he's out. So Sean Perkins is out of the race as well. So 26 cars are still out there running, but honestly, so many of them have damage. Ryan Acosta with damage. Tib Foster was in there. I think Mitchell Collins also had damage. There's Marchese, Farrell. I don't think the 75's got damage. James Shelley's got damage. Dylan Schwellenberg's got damage. And then Dunn LaPrade also looks like he might have some damage. Shrigley too. Charlie Smith I know was in there. But it's looking pretty rough for some guys' hopes. We've lost a lot of contenders. Jesse Tunner was just in the lead. Almost grazed the wall there. Looked like he kind of did. But that accident did take out multiple drivers' hopes of winning the Great American Race. RJ Bishop to the inside of Dom Capps, Peter Onjak, Nick Breeding. I think from Breeding on up is everyone that's got a pretty realistic chance to still win the Daytona 500. Gonna be a lot of cars that no longer have a chance, but we still got a race on our hands. Vince Freeze, Cody Lamas, Charles Sanford, Will Goss, Dane Stinson, Jesse Turner, Stuart Gratton in the 87 car is up here inside the top 10. Teammates Zayden Davidson, DJ Curtis in 8th and 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is RJ Bishop. This from Charles Sanford in the 8 car. Gonna drive it to the inside. This is the first time we've seen. Wow, look at that. Will Goss and Cody Lamas nearly had an accident. Goss pushing the 48 car, nearly turned him off the road. The 87 really impressing me. Gratton in the 87. His first ever Daytona 500 race, and I think it's his first ever Sony Cup Series start. I'm not entirely convinced and sure about that, but Jesse Turner's pulled right up to the back bumper of him, trying to push him forward. But Sanford in the 8, a previous winner in the Daytona 500, has won here all the way back in Season 4. And wow, I mean, just a bunch of different names up here you probably wouldn't have expected. Peter Onjak, what a difference a year makes. Last season was not exactly the 500 he would have hoped he would have. Hoping to turn that luck around. Here comes Vince Freeze, though, back to take the lead. Looked as though Cody Lamas in the 48 had one of the best cars of this race. Got held up behind the 12 car, hit him in the left rear, spun him out, and then made contact with Jesse Turner. And that's going to hurt Turner's chances to win the Great American Race now as well. Dom Capps, you probably stick a fork in that one. It almost looked like he had smoke coming out of it, and he does. That's going to take him completely out of the running. Dom Capps will not win the Daytona 500 yet again. And Cody Lamas in the 48, that's a tough break. You got to think he's got the hand out the window to Tib Foster, but it was his own doing. Ran over Tib Foster. Now he's in the wall, and well, that's a tough break. He had one of the best cars in this one. Board with Jesse Turner. Yep, Cody just got into him, and Cody lost it. If Turner wasn't there, maybe Lamas saves that one. But unfortunately, Turner, wrong place at the wrong time. Gonna get back and underway of racing. Still very early in this one, but still plenty of contenders in this one. Vince Freeze, Charles Sanford, Zayden Davidson, Dane Stinson, Stuart Gratton, RJ Bishop, Blake Warren, DJ Curtis, Nick Breeding, Will Goss, that's the top 10. Peter Onjak outside of the top 10. Looks like he has hood damage there in the 4. Might have not noticed it, but he might have gotten into a wreck or something that I didn't know about. Dunlap Brad knocking on the door of a top 10 run. James Shelley, Charlie Smith, Joseph Shrigley, Jesse Turner. All these guys look like they have minor incidents that took them out of the running. So about top 10 cars look like they still got a realistic chance to win this one. Here comes Davidson for the lead. The inside, Vince Freeze wants to win this one in the Daytona 500. He wants to go out on top and win the last ever Daytona 500. But how about the 01, RJ Bishop? Now the 01 car in the Sony Cup Series normally has not been that kind to many drivers other than the 01 when Jordan Newman won the Sony Cup Series championship in season 18. Not many times we talk about Jordan Newman in the Sony Cup Series, especially the last couple seasons, but the 01 RJ Bishop, it'd be an insane shock win in this Daytona 500 if he could somehow come away with the victory. But it still looks like it could be anyone's game, as Curtis has brought James Shelley up here in the lead pack, Joseph Shrigley, Gratton, like we were talking about, and Dunlap Brad. That is a field of 13 cars still in the lead pack. Peter Onjak's losing the lead draft. Dane Stinson wants to take his turn at the point, and he's going to bring James Shelley along with him. We thought Shelley was out of this one. Shelley looked like he was falling out of the lead pack earlier, but he has brought his 71 up into second position, and here he is looking to try and take the lead. Honestly thought that James Shelley earlier, when he was actually looking like he was out of the pack, was damaged of some sort, but he has brought his 71 car up into the lead, has moved his way by the 25 car. Look like they're going to run up on Ryan Acosta shortly. Acosta is maintaining minimum pace and is trying to make sure he gains as much points as possible to stay in the running to fight for the championship this season. Every point's going to matter. Different championship format than last year. We do not use the Formula One point system. Cheers to everyone. But Davidson around the outside trying to keep Vince Freeze behind him. Charles Sanford, who led the race earlier, trying to get back to the inside and challenge for the race lead. As here comes Davidson again for the lead. Car of Anthony Marchese looks like he might have broke them up a little bit. Will Goss, who is one of the fastest cars all day, might be in danger of losing the main pack. Marchese was super slow in front of them. And, well, RJ Bishop and Will Goss really struggling to hang on to the leaders. Battle for the lead here. Vince Freeze. First time in many laps, somebody making a challenge on James Shelley, and it's Vince Freeze in the 25 car, and with some help from Joseph Shrigley, he's going to take the lead. They're double file at the front. Topside's got some momentum. Shelley trying to clear Shrigley down the back straightaway. Here comes Charles Sanford. He's made a rally here. He's moved his way past of James Shelley and by Vince Freeze. So Charles Sanford's back out front in the Daytona 500. Further back, man, the Mercedes are really struggling here, it looks like a little bit. Zayden Davidson, Blake Warren, and DJ Curtis, they just do not really have much of an answer in this lead pack. Nick Breeding has kind of impressed me inside the top 10 here, mixing and shuffling with the leaders as they continue to close in on more lap traffic. This is really going to be big for them. Kind of curious about how this is going to mix up everything because there's a few cars that are a little bit slower than everybody else. Turner in the 17 trying to stay on the lead lap as much as he can. Here comes the 71 of James Shelley to the inside of Charles Sanford. And here comes Jesse Turner to the inside. He's going to make it 3 wide. Charles Sanford really lost out there. He's going to lose a ton of positions. Cal Farrell is going to slide in front of him. Going to make his run even worse. Shelley looks like he's trying to get clear of Eric DeMax. If he gets clear of Eric DeMax, he'll try to pull the distance from everyone else behind him. Vince Freeze and Nick Breeding trying to keep up with the 71. Here comes Davidson as well, moving his way up to 4th. See Turner really not helping the rest of the guys inside the lead pack. Dane Stinson, Blake Warren, DJ Curtis, all losing touch with the leaders. Very impressed with Nick Breeding and his performance in this Daytona 500. He is managing to stay in this pack and continuing to fight. Marchese's going to go a lap down. Dane Stinson still doing all he can to stay in the lead pack. As you see, Blake Warren, DJ Curtis, not fortunate enough. They're going to lose the leaders. Stinson looks as though he might have lost the leaders. Maybe a commentator's curse or a commentator's jinx. Nick Breeding, who was running in second, has dropped to the tail end of the lead pack as Shelley, Shrigley, Davidson move by him. Sanford, who has looked strong all race long, is behind the 25, who has been one of the top 5 best cars as well. Leads this Daytona 500 as we come up on 60 to go. Stops are underway. Vince Freeze is on pit road. Blake Warren just pitted. Zayden Davidson, the previous lap, also came down pit road, but staying out on the racetrack, which might be a very good call while drafting together. Charles Sanford, James Shelley, and it looks like Sanford's going to pit here. Shelley really lifted into turn 3. He looks like he may want to pit with Sanford. Got out of the gas a ton. No, he's going to stay on the racetrack. Stinson's going to pit, and that's going to hand the lead over to Shrigley and Shelley. Shrigley is on pit road. Shelley is on pit road. Looks like everyone has now pitted, other than maybe the 01 car of RJ Bishop. No, he's already pitted. Be very interesting to see how this actually shakes out. There's the 71 and the 86 leaving pit road. Charles Sanford all by himself. This field is really spread out now. Nick Breeding a little ways ahead of Dane Stinson, who's getting a big push from Vince Freeze. Zayden Davidson may have lost out by pitting early. He has no help. DJ Curtis is a little ways behind. Oh man, Freeze really pushing Stinson. They nearly spun off of turn 2. Nick Breeding's going to be in a good position here, I think. Sanford got a really good stop, and he's going to be right behind Joseph Shrigley and James Shelley. A masterful strategy call there by the 71, 86, and the 8. A good ways ahead of everybody with less than 40 laps to go. I'm not sure if they can make it all the way without having to pit again. It's going to be awful close. Maybe they will have to pit. But James Shelley in the 71 has had a pretty solid lead on Shrigley and Sanford. It may be safe to say that Shrigley and Sanford may be trying to save some gas. They have been swapping second place the last few laps. But Shelley, unfortunately, is going to have to keep it wide open. Come up on 20 laps to go. Time is ticking away. And Breeding, Freeze, and Stinson have not really closed the gap as much as they would like. Shelley continues to hold a big gap on Sanford and Shrigley. Lap cars continuing to be very tricky to deal with. As tire wear kicks in, it can be even harder to make a pass without much help. And this is going to get very interesting. Up on 13 laps to go, and it looks like we got a battle here. 6 cars have closed the distance. Vince Freeze, Nick Breeding, Dane Stinson, they have closed that gap on the front runners. And it's Vince Freeze leading the charge now with Breeding and Stinson behind the 25. The 31 is still in this of Charlie Smith in terms of being a lap car. So what will he do when it comes down to the end of this one? Breeding drives to the inside of the 25 car, but it really doesn't work out. He has to lift a ton to the outside of the lap car of Charlie Smith. Vince Freeze, he may have something here for James Shelley here at the end. He's got a big run to the inside of third place with Joseph Shrigley. Shrigley can't throw the block. As we come back of the line, it'll be 12 laps to go. Vince Freeze, who has been one of the dominant cars of today, going up there and taking the race lead. Caution flag is out! Caution flag is out! Ryan Acosta looks like he is spun in the tri-oval. We're going to come to the line with 12 to go. Oh, man, and Joseph Shrigley really struggling there. Almost got turned by the 31, but to the flag with less than 10 laps to go. James Shelley did not want to see this caution flag. Many drivers might have would have wanted it to be able to save enough fuel to get to the end or to go down pit road and change tires. This is going to be very interesting with less than 10 laps to go. We're going to have a restart. Get set and ready to decide the finish of the 28th annual Daytona 500. Nobody pitted, and I can't believe that. But James Shelley is in the lead over Charles Sanford, Vince Freeze, Joseph Shrigley, Dane Stinson, Nick Breeding, DJ Curtis, Blake Warren, RJ Bishop, and, well, Eric DeMax is a lap down. Mitchell Collins is somewhere back there. There he is in the 43. Who is going to win the Daytona 500? Push coming from the 25. He ducks out of line. James Shelley better be on the lookout for that 25 car. Vince Freeze. Freeze could add himself to the Daytona 500 list winners. Shrigley in the 86 car right there. Looks like this might just be a race between 6 cars. Is the move going to come? Shrigley to the inside of Sanford as they race for third position. It's going to make it even more tricky for Vince Freeze to be able to build up some sort of run on James Shelley here at the end. Could it come from anyone outside of the top 2? Shelley has won the Daytona 500 in the past in photo finishes and come out on top. He may have to try and do that yet again. Freeze enters just a tad high. You see him just a half a car length up to try and build up some sort of run on the 71 car. Freeze was, in the wall, it looked like almost. Nick Breeding has had a good day so far trying to make it to the checkered flag. Coming to the line, it'll be 3 laps to go. Vince Freeze is as close as he could be. Here he comes to the inside. Vince Freeze looking to take the lead in the Daytona 500 side by side. He's got some help. Here comes Joseph Shrigley to the inside. Shrigley in the 86 goes to the inside with Freeze. And that's all Vince Freeze needed, was just a little bit of an assist in the turns 1 and 2, and clears James Shelley. Now he's just going to have to block for his life. James Shelley, can't he mount some sort of charge back on the 25 car? Here he comes to the outside. Freeze has to jump up there, and he wasn't able to do it. Shelley to the outside in the 71 takes the race lead back once again. Wow, that was such a powerful move to just do that off a turn 4 with no help. He had nobody pushing him and was able to take the race lead back. That's got to be almost devastating, really. Here comes Nick Breeding in the 69. Where did he come from? He was a long ways back. RJ Bishop's another one of those. Where did he come from? He wasn't even in the top 6 a few laps ago. He's in this lead pack. Shrigley jumps to the outside. He knows the run and the grip's up there. Breeding throws the block. We come to the white flag. One more time around the Daytona 500. Freeze is going to have to find some sort of miracle run. Shelley gives him the inside. Not even worried about it. Slams the door on him in turns 1 and 2. All the way back in third, it's Nick Breeding, but he would need something amazing to be able to overcome the top 2. Can he help Vince Freeze get back around James Shelley? Shelley has been the dominant car. Vince Freeze, one of the other dominant cars as well. It's not going to be for Vince Freeze. It doesn't look like a last-minute rally for second by Nick Breeding. It doesn't look like it's going to work. James Shelley in the 71 car is going to go back to victory lane in the Daytona 500. 28th annual Daytona 500 belongs to Turn Performance and James Shelley. Shelley goes back to victory lane and wins the Great American Race once again. Vince Freeze put up a heck of a fight. Did what a great drive there to get back to the front. And he just had to throw a big block on James Shelley off of turn 4 as he came to 2 to go and was not able to do it. But a power move on the outside by James Shelley, and it gets him the race win. Vince Freeze did everything he could to try and take the race win away from James Shelley at the end, but it wasn't to be. James Shelley had such a good car, and normally Turn Performance Racing always provides those kind of good cars. They're the most winning race team in the Sony Cup Series, and it's not a shock that Turn Performance Racing would find a way back to winning a race. And well, this is a good omen because like I talked about at the top of the show, 2023 it was Jake Bassinger, 2022 was Jake Bassinger, 2023 was Dejon Weeks. Those were the Daytona 500 winners, and those were also the season champions. Can James Shelley come out on top and win the series championship? When he won the Daytona 500 in season 17, he was in the championship fight that season. Very well could see James Shelley contest the Sony Cup Series championship once again. There is your top 10 for today's race. Let's get you to the rest of the finishing results after Daytona.